Alright, so I've been thinking for a little while now because recently I've been trying to become a fan of Star Wars once again. Been a long time out, and a while ago I did watch the Clone Wars in its entirety. I'm doing a rewatch and I'm going through every single season. I'm going to go ahead and review those. But aside from that, kind of been working on some theories and I have some plans in the mix, but there's something really important I need to talk about. And you can call it a theory. You can call it a hypothesis, whatever you want to call it. But, I mean, I think we can all be honest. This might come out of nowhere, but I think General Grievous absolutely clears everyone in the Rey Skywalker trilogy. Now, why am I bringing this up? Well, because I think the Rey trilogy is dog shit. I think it is terrible. I think it is one of the worst film trilogies I've ever seen in my entire life. And yes, the last film I rate even lower than the Borderlands movie. And if you have seen the Borderlands movie, I pray for your soul, even though I'm not religious. That's how bad it is. So, I guess you can even imagine the torture and pain and suffering it was watching the final of the Skywalker trilogy. Or I guess the Rey Skywalker trilogy, because apparently they're doing a third one. But, you know, we'll wait and see what happens. Regardless, I kind of just want to talk about one of my favorite villains in general, you know, looking at maybe an all-time villain for me personally, General Grievous. Now, some people might actually not like General Grievous, and you know what, I completely understand it. Some people don't like the fact that he's a little goofy at times, and he embraces his inner coward, I guess we can say, at moments, you know, obviously, the classic
Time to abandon ship.
But I'm sure everyone knows that General Grievous is still a threat. Regardless if you want to say he's a coward, or if you want to say he's not that strong in terms of dueling with modern Jedi, the creme de la creme of the Jedi. You know, you're looking at the Dooku's, you're looking at the Yodas, you're looking at masters of the Force here. I think the key difference, though, is that in the Rey trilogy, there is no master of the Force. There's kind of an old Luke who doesn't really know how to use the Force correctly anymore because he cut himself away from it. You have Rey, who's kind of just like accidentally doing the highest level of acts you can do as a Force wielder, but she has no control over doing it as it seems, with her electrocuting the ship with Force lightning that she thought hold Chewie in it. Very odd scene, but that kind of shows to me she doesn't have control over the Force. Now, does that mean she's dangerous? Sure. You're not consistently winning duels by just being dangerous, right? You have to have the talent, you have to have the combat aesthetic, or like, you have to have the combat aura, you know? You have to have fear, you have to have that sort of presence in a combat scenario in Star Wars. And as one of the things Grievous was early taught on in order to fight Jedi, it was to have the fear, intimidation, and surprise on his side. And I think that's very important. I think General Grievous, genuinely, if he catches Rey by surprise, you know, we're looking at like the Clone Wars 2003 scene where General Grievous drops from the roof. Now, I know we can't use that as the everyday Grievous. However, if he just showed up one day, crawling his ass on the ceiling like a spider, as he does in the show, and then decides to hop down onto Rey. Rey has zero reaction time to do anything to that at all, you know? And yeah, you could use the argument maybe she would just be able to forcibly move him around because Rey is just good at everything. I still think General Grievous would find a way because he's not afraid to use dirty tactics like whipping out the Gyat, the Glock, you know? He's got no problem whipping out the Glock when he needs it, aka the blaster. Now, that's another reason why I'm picking General Grievous in any sort of fight amongst the Rey trilogy. I'm just gonna be honest, all of them are either weak, soy, or they just lose, you know? Rey is on the weak side, where she doesn't have any really combat powers. She just beats people who don't fight back. General Grievous only fights people who fights back. Well, not only, but he's not shy from a challenge, you know? Instantly, Season 1, we can remember from the Clone Wars, General Grievous had no issues slaughtering Nadar, which maybe Nadar isn't the craziest Jedi Knight because he was trained early, but he was swiftly taken care of, and he gave Kit Fisto a run for his money, forcing Kit Fisto to run away. There's a lot of reasons why you would pick General Grievous in any fight when it comes to the Rey trilogy, and we're just talking about Rey right now. But moving on from Rey, I mean, I think it's fair to say he clears anyone who's not a Force wielder. Leia might be the exception because she has the magical ability of plot armor, but she ends up dying in the end of the film. So I think it's possible that Grievous would be able to find a way to solidify the death, maybe by cutting her in half, is probably what Grievous would do if he got his hands on old Leia. And there's not much an old Leia and an old Akbar is gonna do to General Grievous. He kind of would just drive right through them, no problem. Now, General Grievous would not have a droid army in the Rey trilogy. That's something important to mention. However, he's not impossible to work with when it comes to outside people. While he did not like working with Asajj Ventress, he still worked with Asajj Ventress. So I have no doubt in my mind, if General Grievous somehow lived the war and gained his own ability, basically hiding in the shadows, imagining a world where he didn't die to Obi-Wan, and the droid army all got shut off, so General Grievous was basically scrapped, presumed dead, sort of situation like that. He would not have his army with him, but a one-on-one duel with pretty much anyone in the franchise, General Grievous slaughters, in my opinion. And on top of that, I don't think it'd be out of the ordinary for General Grievous to find some sort of way to find a bunch of scrapyarded battle droids and find ways to rebuild them. We've seen kids do it in the Clone Wars. Makes no sense why General Grievous wouldn't be able to. So, let's just assume that he has a relatively decent army, one rivaling at least the Resistance in the 7th and 8th film of Star Wars. And the reason why that's the assumption is because it literally seems like the Resistance is probably a few ships, and then the big ship is pretty much what the Resistance is in the 7th, 8th, and 8th episode. Now, General Grievous definitely would struggle some, mainly the Kylo Rens, and the Force wielders being pretty much just Kylo Ren, let's be honest. But I do think General Grievous would mop the floor with Kylo Ren. If you're a Kylo Ren lover, I feel sorry for you. I truly do. Not in like I pity you or something like that. Just a, man, you guys got done dirty. You know, you guys got done dirty. You know, if you truly liked Kylo Ren from comics and pretty much all the media you get from him other than the comics are the movies, I mean, yikes. You're starving out here for content, let me just say that. But Kylo Ren in the films sucks. He doesn't win a single lightsaber duel. And when he did, he barely beat a stormtrooper who's never wielded a lightsaber a day in his life. And stormtroopers aren't supposed to be wielding lightsabers because they don't have the Force, and that makes it harder to use the lightsabers. And the reason why General Grievous doesn't have a problem with it is because he's trained specifically by a Jedi to wield sabers in an unorthodox method. Now, Kylo Ren doesn't deal with a lot of lightsaber duels, and when he does, he loses. And then on top of that, General Grievous would absolutely overwhelm him with 4 lightsabers. Not even close. Kylo Ren can barely handle one from a character who's never wielded it before, a trooper under him. General Grievous has slaughtered Jedi over the course of years, you know? And I know the Clone Wars didn't last that long, but we're talking about, like, a lot of Jedi here. We're not talking about, like, rookie's first kill here, you know, as it would probably be for Kylo Ren, as Kylo Ren doesn't really kill anyone with a lightsaber either. Very disappointing. But with Kylo Ren out of the picture, it would kind of just leave Snoke, assuming Snoke is still alive, and not Palpatine. We're not really going to get into the Palpatine discussion because it's kind of very hard to monitor Palpatine's power level in the films. You pretty much just have a bunch of bounty hunters who are good at shooting. And then you have Kylo Ren, Rey, and Palpatine. But the problem I have with Palpatine is he never technically does anything noteworthy other than lightning hands. And lightning hands is cool, but if you can't beat Rey, I'm kind of worried if Palpatine would be able to beat anyone. You know, I know Rey is the all-powerful being in Episode 9, but it's not like Palpatine dueled with Luke or dueled with another lightsaber. Like, he doesn't duel in the film. So, in theory, if Grievous even got close to Palpatine, I just think it's wraps. Palpatine doesn't even use a lightsaber. And we might be able to assume that Palpatine can't duel if he's not willing to duel Rey. And if Rey's and Kylo's dueling ability is that low to basically, you know, one beats the other, and they're both very slow, very, you know, their lightsaber weighs 150 pounds, Grievous is gonna have no problem just mowing them all down, even all at once, you know? We're talking about specifically Episode 9 Palpatine, not to be confused with the Palpatines from Episode 3 and Episode, I believe, 5 and 6? I can't remember if he's in A New Hope. He probably is. Let's just assume he is. 4, 5, and 6. This is not the same Palpatine, you know? And even in the later films, there's an argument to be made. Palpatine in his older years just doesn't duel. And maybe he's just lost the ability to duel in his older age, you know? And with that being a factor, really the only thing Grievous would have to worry about in terms of a Palpatine fight is that Force Lightning. But then it becomes a case, is it that dangerous? Does he really do anything with his Force Lightning in terms of the people in front of him? No. He kind of just uses his lightning in the sky for a cool effect, you know? It doesn't really do that much. And I think the important thing here is he didn't use it in close range against Rey and Kylo, and it wasn't effective, you know? Or at least to me, it kind of sounds off as it not being very effective. Now, General Grievous' biggest weakness in this 7, 8, and 9th film would be the Force Lightning. Palpatine being the only one to have Force Lightning does raise some questions, but I'd say it's a 55-45 if General Grievous can just get close to him. And by close to him, judging by where Rey was, that's a pretty decent distance, you know? One little, oh, I've caught you at a bad time on your ship scenario, and I think General Grievous would be able to mow down the Palpatine. But that's pretty much the steepest competition he has. Outside of that, there's not really anyone who's a threat. I mean, you could argue, like, the big ships and stuff like that. And if you want to argue even a Luke Skywalker, I bet his ghost would probably confuse General Grievous for a few seconds, but outside of the astral projection ghost, General Grievous isn't dumb. He's not going to sit there constantly trying to fight with the ghost for absolutely no reason, yelling at the ghost. He would most likely try to slice through it, realize it's a gimmick or something of the matter, and he would quickly go into hunting mode and try to find where Luke is. And then it presents the question, would Luke be able to fight General Grievous? And now I know Prime Luke Skywalker is a force to be reckoned with, quite literally, force pun intended. But General Grievous is a different breed, you know? When it comes to aggression, he's specifically genetically modified to be more aggressive in combat. So I think he would probably overwhelm an older age Luke, and especially considering Luke has cut himself so far away from the Force for so very long, if we're imagining a world where Rey gets chopped up early, which I think is very likely, because if Grievous was to enter in the 7th film, Grievous would most likely mop the floor with everyone. As soon as he sees that Millennium Falcon, it's getting boarded. If pirates are doing it, you bet your sweet bippy fucking Grievous is gonna board that shit. Quickly mow down everyone in there. Han Solo, Chewbacca, all of them chopped up into little tiny bits. Then he would most likely move on to finding Luke Skywalker and truly ridding the galaxy of the Jedi. No doubt General Grievous would pull out every single trick he has in the book to accomplish his final goal of ridding the galaxy of Jedi. And we do know in the Clone Wars that's his main goal, you know? And whether you want to plead insanity on General Grievous and that his mind isn't working properly, which is a theory I'm currently looking into, I think it's fair to say that General Grievous mops the floor with everyone in the 7th, 8th, and 9th film. I don't even think it's close. I can't think of a single person who would give him even even a slight pebble of a challenge, other than perhaps Palpatine. But this Palpatine would also need to be a little bit more on the theory end of things. We've seen Grievous fight people. We've seen Grievous close the distance. We've seen Grievous fight unorthodox. We haven't seen old age Palpatine really do anything to anyone, realistically speaking, other than force lightning, and if I die, or if you kill me, I will become the most powerful being in the universe, and then he dies, and he becomes nothing. So, yeah, I think it's fair to say General Grievous mops the floor with everyone. I kind of wanted to do this just for fun. Of course, this is all skeptical. If you're a Rey Skywalker lover and you hate the way I just trashed on her because General Grievous would mop the floor with her, personally, just how I feel, you know? And I think it's just how it would go, you know? It's fun making these theories. I think I'm going to continue doing a lot more. But yeah, this was all basically satire, just for fun. Nothing too serious. Of course, don't take anything seriously. But with all that being said, I want to thank you for watching. And as always, I hope you have a good day.